What's going on, guys? We are here for part 3 of question and answer. This is the last 5 questions that I got on my social media. If I somehow missed you, let me know and I will answer your question, but I am fairly certain that this will be the last 5 questions that we've got for this Q&A. So we're going to jump right into it. First question, Mike Beach. In the weights for distance, push with the right side or drive with the left side? So, short answer, both. I like to think of it in a sequence. I think pushing on the first turn, the whole first turn is just a big long push, pushing that weight all the way up and around from that, the back point to the low point, to the high point, to the low point again. That's your first turn. From there, you're starting your second turn. This is where we shift gears into driving off of the left. So I think drive to that front of the trig, sprint to the front of the trig by driving off the left. Once you're at the front of the trig, you're catching the weight in its high point again, and you start pushing again. Push down to the low point and push up to the finish. So, like I said, a little bit of a sequence, and what you're going to see is less experienced throwers. There's going to be a bit of a lull between these two. There's going to be a push, nothing, drive, nothing, push to the finish. What we want to do is lengthen each phase so there's less time between them, eventually getting them to lead one right into the other and eventually get them to even overlap. So you're still pushing as you start your drive, and you'll even start pushing as you're finishing your drive and into the finish of the throw. So short answer, both. Just takes slowly bridging that gap and getting them to overlap a little bit more and more and more is the way that I'm going to think about it. That's how I would suggest that you think about it too, Mike. Next question. Eric Farr, in any of the events with heavy and light weight, is it more beneficial to train with the lightweight for form, or should you keep equal balance between practicing both implements? So it's kind of going to depend from thrower to thrower. The bottom line is you want to find your deficit, whatever you're worse at, and train that one more. I would suggest, for example, if you know you're worse at the heavyweight for distance, let's say you're really good at the lightweight and really bad at the heavyweight, I would suggest training 2/3 of your throws with the heavy and 1/3 with the light. Obviously, if it's vice versa, you're better with the heavyweight than the lightweight, flop that. 2/3 with the lightweight, 1/3 with the heavy. If you're pretty much even, you're just as good at heavy as you are at light, balance them out, 50%, 50% to each of them. There are going to be some special circumstances that most throwers aren't going to need to worry about. Really only advanced throwers are going to be working with this. Like, for example, Rusty Price would throw the women's implements leading up to his run in Scotland, where he just went and murdered everyone. So he did that basically to get a ton of volume in without taxing his body as much as he would if he were throwing the men's implements. What that did for him was just give him the opportunity to get tons of throws in without killing himself, and because of that he went in and really did well because he had so much technique work under his belt. Another example, that's going to be Jake Sullivan throwing the 49-pound weight for distance for his heavyweight for distance in training, largely for the same reason, just being able to get a little bit more volume in and not tax his body so much. For the most part, though, for your average throwers, you don't need to worry too much about it. Just bottom line, find a deficit, fix the deficit. Next question. Ink and Iron Athletics. This is Corey Black. He says, how do you ensure the correct projection angle of your stone, both Bramer and open? I'm sick of the guy I throw with telling me I was a little flat. So, 2 things come to mind. The first one is going to be throwing your hips, shoulders, chest, and head up. Getting those up, pointed towards the sky. If they're pointed up, you're going to throw up. If they're pointed flat, you're going to throw flat. Pretty much that simple. The second thing is kind of going to lead into the first thing. It's going to be your block. So if you block flat, what's going to happen is your chest is going to come out flat. Your head's going to be flat. Hips aren't going to lift up over the block. You're going to come out flat. So if you block from low to high, the opposite's going to happen. You're going to get your chest up high. Your chest, shoulders, head are going to follow your block, and your stone is going to follow in suit. Pretty much the angle of your block is going to be the angle of your stone throw. Is give or take a few degrees, a pretty good rule of thumb. So if you know you're throwing flat, start with a lower block and bring it high deliberately, and you'll start throwing higher. Next question. Tommy Kitchens, when it comes to games day, I'm never sure how much to actually do in warm-ups. How do you approach this, and how does it differ from warm-ups in the gym? The bottom line is going to be warm up till you're ready, whether it's in the gym or on the field. You just need to feel ready before you get under a bar or before you grab a stone or whatever it is. You need to feel like your body is ready to do it. If it's not, A, you're going to be risking yourself getting injured, and B, you're just not going to perform well. So, that being said, you want to feel out your body and feel what feels off. If, for example, you're getting ready for stones and you know your hips are tight, do some leg swings. Do something that's going to open up the hips so they're not tight. There's really no rhyme or reason. There is reason, but there's no specific sets, reps, whatever it is for me to get ready. I listen to my body and I say, hey, this is off. This is how I'm going to fix it. And I do that until I feel ready. That's really how I do it for both the gym and the field. It's just the only difference being what I'm trying to get ready for, what I'm trying to feel ready for. So hopefully that answers your question. Bottom line, go until you feel ready and listen to your body. Next question. Nolan Wilcock asks a two-part question. He asks, are there any really good assistance exercises you've found to help increase your speed through the final spin during lightweight for distance and heavyweight for distance? And also, I tend to get pulled more flat through the end of my throw for hammer. How do you keep that upward momentum? So, first part of your question, speed in the second spin of the weight for distances. I don't do anything in the gym that's going to directly be nothing that I'm targeting that in particular. Obviously, being a stronger person, being more agile, being faster are things you're going to be able to develop in the gym, and they're going to carry over to your speed in the second spin. But I'm not necessarily targeting that specifically. If I am trying to target my speed in the weight for distance on that second turn, what I'm going to do is one turns in training. I'm going to go out and I'm going to specifically work on or think about driving more aggressively to the front of the trig, driving faster off of that left side. Like I said, just being a stronger, faster person is obviously going to help. So anything like that in the gym is going to be a big way to improve that. But specifically, one turns would be in my opinion, the best way to go about developing your speed through that second turn. Second part of your question, you tend to get pulled more flat through the end of your throw for hammer. So typically, there's one thing that I notice when people are throwing flat. It's their low point has drifted to the left side. That a lot of the time will end finishing flat because they don't have room to lift up, and just the momentum, the direction that the weight is already, or the hammer's already carrying in, is not really up at that point. So what you need to be doing is keeping that hammer on the right side. Your low point of your hammer throw needs to stay on the right side. You need to be catching sooner because you're probably catching late, and because you're catching late, your chop is ending you on that left side. So catch sooner, and your chop will drive to that right side, and you'll be able to push all the way up through the top of the throw that way from the right side. This isn't necessarily what's going wrong. It's just typically what I notice when people are throwing flat in hammers. That tends to be the issue a lot of the time. So if that's not the issue, send me some video and I'd be happy to help you. But for most people, that's going to be the answer. It's keeping that low point on the right side, catching a little sooner, and pushing all the way up through the top of the throw. That answers all of our questions. Like I said, I'm fairly certain I got to everybody. If I missed you somehow, let me know. I'll be happy to answer your question. Until next time, thanks for your questions, guys.